Though we are many, we are part of something. A force. Bigger than all of us. Our distinct fingerprints collectively shaping and forever changing what makes UCONN, UCONN. Forever making our mark. Forever making UCONN a part of us.
What is going on, EGF fans? Hope you're all having a fantastic afternoon so far. And get this, it's about to get even better. Here for you guys today, I am Lord Thiethan, joined in the booth by Ocean Cass, and we've got a riveting set of matchups for you this afternoon. Ocean, how are you doing? How are you managing the anticipation for these games?
I don't know. I'm pretty excited, right? UCONN is going to be the team that we're kind of focused on today, as they are taking on St. Peter's. St. Peter's, of course, have some stakes of their own, but we'll talk about that in a bit. UCONN had a rough start to the spring split after I think an 8-1 fall split. They lost their flex support Rupal or Pascal, who went over to Redbirds, and that was a tough way to start the spring split for them, but they were able to come back, and they had a good win last week against Wichita State and currently sit in 5th place.
Yeah, I've seen this UConn squad several times over the last couple of months, and man, even without Pascal in the lineup, they really don't fail to impress. It's a very impressive performance that they've had, considering the talent that they have to work with. Just really every time I see them in action, it is team synergy manifest, the epitome of that Overwatch principle. And their matchup today is a relatively straightforward endeavor for them as well, going up against St. Peter's University, who's sitting right smack dab in the middle of the standings for EGFC.
Yeah, and of course they're sitting right smack dab at the last playoff spot at the current moment, right? That's where they are right now, and they've got to get some wins, and it's going to be a tough task for them today. Especially when you're a team that is pretty low in confidence right now. They lost a game last week to Villanova. They lost, I think it was the first map to Villanova. I can't exactly remember which one it was. But going into a team that plays quite actively with their main tanking your boy Wings, this could be quite a difficult task for St. Peter's.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and heading into this first map as well, you're really going to look forward to seeing your boy Wings thrive on that main tank role. It's going to be the control point game mode Lijiang Tower to start off this series, and I really like Lijiang because it's just a nice it's a nice map to establish a baseline for all of our teams.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because, again, Lijiang, there's a lot of different playstyles you can play. Garden is usually a little bit more open. You're going to probably want to play some more open compositions. St. Peter's rocking some sort of spam brawl hybrid. I'm not exactly sure what their goal is right now because they've got a Rolling Heart, but a lot of spam heroes as well. And then we also got Connecticut right now here, running something a little bit more traditional. It's basically a dive composition, but with a more stable backline with an Ana. I guess they just feel comfortable playing Ana and Lucio more than they would like Zenbreak.
Yeah, and that sustain is going to be severed a little bit. There's a helpful Fox going down, and Sellout ends up getting environmentally eliminated as well. It's not a full fight breaking out here so far. It's both of these teams really testing each other, figuring out how they really want to take this control point. But there's a nice elimination there from Kelp to help reduce the opposition that they'll be playing against. This will reward them with that first point cap.
You know what's really strange? So this Wrecking Ball dive competition is so good at isolating targets, but Ratchet almost isolated themselves, and currently the Sports are isolated in that right room. I don't really think Connecticut will be able to punish them though.
No, Kelp is going to have to back out of there, get a little bit of sustain here, but that opportunity for the Wrecking Ball to dive, then that's also a good chance for Samo to go and get some damage. They're not going to be able to do so though. There's a helpful Fox waiting for the boot, but the Flux is already putting in work. There's a Hibachi Swat falling critically low, and there's your environmental there. 2 eliminations on the side of the UConn. That's a fight win despite the Ant Matrix was placed by St. Peter's.
Yeah, this should be done, and Nelsie and Kelp can clean up the kills on this. Start to look towards the ultimate economy, which UConn has, they've got a pretty good ult economy for this next team fight. They've got Nano Blade, potentially, a Minefield. It's pretty good engagement tool for Connecticut as well. St. Peter's haven't really built up to anything whatsoever. I mean, maybe if they play super aggressive, they can maybe get Satellite involved, but that's never really going to be an option against a dire composition like Connecticut. You're just going to get isolated by that Wrecking Ball, and you're going to get punished.
Oh yeah, talking about the Wrecking Ball, they're a little trapped themselves, taking some pretty hefty damage, but that's also some good ultimate charge for the supports. A Helpful Fox definitely wants that sound barrier after they got eliminated early in this round, and as well, now that they're gone out of the fight at 2. There's the Nano Boost to compensate for a Mantis advantage as the blade is drawn from its sheath, and there's now slingshotting around the objective, picking up 3 final blows. It elicits a self-destruct from Holstan, but that's a lost cause.
Yeah, it's a pretty good team fight for Connecticut. They did have to use a couple more of their ultimates that they probably would have liked. You know, that Pulse Bomb in this round, like they're swapping here. I'm not exactly sure what Sabo is doing, but yeah, they had to use a couple of extra controls that I probably would have liked. Tonight, St. Peters have a small ultimate advantage going here, but won't matter if they lose a player to this specific Flux.
Yeah, that's exactly what'll happen. Clears a little bit of space for the pile drive and follow-up damage onto Min Min. Now cut from the lifeline. The tanks are isolated, as we've mentioned, in this white room, and there's no chance for St. Peter's to swing this. A Bob on the objective. No, not even on the objective. Gets knocked off. Won't prolong the inevitable. That's first round, 100-0 for UConn. Not the best start for St. Peter's, but they're going to more stable maps now.
Yeah, they wanted to play some Reinhardt there, but it looks at things. Of course, Reinhardt's never really gonna be a better pick than the Wrecking Ball and Lijiang Garden. It's just not gonna happen realistically. It's gonna be interesting to see if UConn change their approach. I very much doubt it because St. Peter's are playing a composition, right, where it's not fast enough to get onto any of these isolated targets on Connecticut, right? Their backline doesn't really have too much support. Disguise is kind of sitting on their own with the way that Connecticut are playing right now, and maybe if you had a Lucio on St. Peter's, they would be able to get after the honor, but it doesn't really seem that St. Peter's has a sort of plan with their composition. And again, looking at the swaps they're making, we've got a D.Va and a Winston here, some sort of dive tank composition. I guess you can bro with Winston. Both a May and a Dash, 2 DPS that you rarely see together because of their burst energy.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's not quite the rush comp, not quite 6-man either. St. Peter's, you know, they might have a plan, just depends on how they engage into these fights. And currently the engagement is taken in the backlines of St. Peter's University. It's Holstan picking a fight against Samo, who does have the recall, whittling down the health pool of Holstan. It does force the immortality field, and a beautiful anti-nade delivered by Helpful Fox as Nels picks up final blows, gets those dash resets, and looks for more blood to spill off the point.
Yeah, I think St. Peter's are playing very disjointed right now, and I'm not exactly sure it's like a positional thing. I think it's just their composition does not work. It doesn't really function. We've got a backline, I think, of a Baptiste, a Mercy, and an Ashe, but they're unable to do backline things from afar based on their composition. They're trying to go in against roll with their tanks. I think that was a Swoop as well. Ratch goes down.
You go!
And too! Wow, I wasn't expecting that to happen, to be honest.
I mean, Kelp's basically just, you know, they're perfectly set up for that. There's no CC on the side of St. Peter's to mitigate that movement. Ratchet's now in the Cole Cassidy, which I think is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, no, that's a better idea. And of course, Ratchet now has a little bit more brawl potential. That even in the May, I would like to see Penguin make the swap onto the Cassidy, right? May and Cassidy are typically a very popular DPS combo at the high level.
Yeah, but, you know, and it's working out for St. Peter's University right now. They're playing into a good Flux, but the Valkyrie's going to keep them topped off for now. Helpful Fox is able to land an anti-nade, but only onto C Penguin. It's in insignificant instances of damage as St. Peter's surges towards the objective. Helpful Fox caught out in the back lines is going to get a little bit of support there from Samo. Reconnects to the main tanks for St. Peter's, who have captured this objective. They're going to start building progress, but they're not going to be able to hold it for long. Look at University of Connecticut drawing the Nano Blade and finding the fight win. You know, lose the battle, win the war here. They take back that point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the positive for St. Peter's is Connecticut, you know, they lost 70% and had to use the Nano Blade. So I guess that's a small positive. But St. Peter's, what do they have to come back and retake this? They got a Bolt and a self-destruct. I guess those are two ultimates that are good at game controls and good at taking space, so that's a positive at least. That's going to be a little bit easier for them in this next team point.
Yeah, as well as those 2 eliminations that St. Peter's has scored off of a little bit of hubris here from the side of University of Connecticut. Still have the rally to fall back on here, however. I'm amazed that Helpful Fox hasn't died quite yet, and they continue to live until Ratchet finally finds the stun. There's that CC, the impact that we're talking about, but they're playing once again into a Gravitic Flux. Pulse Bomb doesn't connect onto Hunter, staying alive here in the corners. The rally finds a deployment by Tiz, guys. It means that this objective really, it becomes impassable by St. Peter's. That's going to be map 1 going to UCONN.
Yeah, UConn have this nice and sealed. Their top 5 spot looks pretty good right now. 1-0 to UConn. I think it's time to talk about St. Peter's. I think we have to discuss, you know, how they bridge the gap between themselves and UConn right now, because St. Peter's right now are sitting in 12th, the last playoff spot, and they really don't look like a potential playoff team right now. And they need to bridge the gap towards Connecticut. How are they going to do that? I think stabilizing with their compositions and also finding some sort of play style, because it was really difficult for them to get into many team fights. I could only really count 3 major engagements from them across the entirety of Lijiang Tower.
As well, on the opposite side of things for UConn, who are looking to maintain their position in the standings, you know, they're also doing a little bit of limit testing too. You see a Helpful Fox in particular playing some pretty aggressive positionings and also getting away with some pretty impactful instances of damage. There have been a couple of really good bionades dished out by them too. So you've got UConn kind of pushing the envelope here on exactly what can they accomplish by playing a composition that is absolutely conventional, but a style that's a little less predictable.
Yeah, no, I like that look on it. I guess this is a way that they can, I guess, try out new things, new engagement tools and tactics, like having a Helpful Fox in a more aggressive position for a biotic grenade. I mean, it's definitely not the most conventional way to play, as we were just saying,
Yeah.
but I definitely wouldn't want them to do that in a game against another top 5 team. Additionally, I think that is there is also the way you can take it as Connecticut, or, you know, they're memeing a little bit, they're having a little bit more fun with it, and I guess that's another acceptable approach in this sort of a sense, because you may as well have fun with this sort of series, because that's going to boost your camaraderie going into playoffs.
Yeah, and, you know, all the teams at this point could use that extra energy, that morale boost. And you know, St. Peter's, they are absolutely no exception. I think the question heading forward, as you mentioned, the compositional points of intrigue there in their strategies is, you know, how do we enable each other to succeed? You often see the Reinhardt paired with the Lucio, the Genji with the Ana. I think in terms of composition, the question is, what are the best matchups, not against our opponents, but rather to support each other. Heading into our second map type, it is going to be the hybrid game mode. Hollywood is a little bit more stable of a map, in my opinion, than that control point game mode. It fosters a little bit more of that team play oriented play style, and so I'm excited to see St. Peter's bounce back from the more deathmatchy approach that they were kind of had to play into there on Lijiang.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real, Control is kind of an outlier compared to the rest of the game modes, right? We usually see teams, when it's a 3-1 victory or whatever, it's usually Control. That is the map that has been won. So, yeah, it's just a little bit more chaotic usually in favor of a chaotic playstyle. This is going to be a true test of what we're going to see from St. Peter's, but I'd also be worried because, as we said, this is also a more team-oriented map. Realistically, have we seen compositionally and playstyle-wise anything from St. Peter's that tells us they're going to have a better team game than Connecticut? Probably not.
Yeah, it's difficult to discern, at least for us in the booth at this time. I do already like St. Peter's University's composition, though. It's steps in the right direction for me. A lot of people shy away from, okay, they're Hunter's back on the Mercy, so plenty of damage amplification for the DPS heading into these fights, and it's a more poke-oriented style of comp. They can play as slow as they'd like here.
Yeah, no, this is an actual composition that we see here. Yes, it's 2 off types, but they're both good in sort of spam-oriented compositions. And this is going to be their goal. They're going to look to spam from afar, they're going to look to poke out at Connecticut and look to force them into positional errors.
as well as they do have Hunter on the Mercy to equalize that man disadvantage. There's your CC onto Kelp. They get slept, but are able to safely withdraw with those adaptive shields. And now the threat to contend against the Samo in the backlines, but without Sea Penguin, you lose that one-shot potential. Ratchet's gone as well. No Helix Rocket to disrupt them, and a nice pile drive onto Hunter leads to a lethal instance of damage. That's a nice defense here right off the bat for UCONN.
Yeah, pretty good. Nothing much to say other than St. Peter's really struggled to take space there. And yes, I like the double tank composition because it's good at spamming, but of course you're missing that main tank, which is a primary engagement tool. That's what main tanks are really good at. Winston has its, their lead. Wrecking Ball has the pile driver, just the grappling ball in general. Reinhardt has a massive shield, right? Let's look at it that way. Maybe they could benefit from a hero like Orisa instead of the Roadhog. I mean, you've seen Roadhog compositions in the past, the double off tank, and Roadhog has had to operate as that main tank, so maybe Sellout needs to take a couple more risks here on the Roadhog.
Yeah, quite possibly. Holston is going to end up on the Diva as well. This is where, you might see an adjustment to that Chaos composition, but Sellout's coming close on that Whole Hog. They might want to see if they can find use out of it, but first you have to break through this aggressive formation that UCONN is holding. Like I said, memeing a little bit or pushing the envelope, call it what you will, but currently they're the ones controlling space, especially with the Gravitic Flux coming out, helping to secure an elimination there onto Penguin, caught out from the rest of the squad. Now it's just clean up here.
Yeah, I think there is definitely a gap in quality between these two teams. I think that's pretty straightforward. Mechanically, Connecticut are more confident. They're more confident playing proactively, which is a big part of being able to play a little bit aggressively and have these more aggressive holds, like you're seeing with the Helpful Fox. Literally, where you would assume to be the back line of St. Peter's, but St. Peter's are currently in the spawn struggling to get out.
Yeah, and the thing that you've got to answer when you're in the situation St. Peter's is in a little unfortunate is, for one, how do we prevent our main support from going down there? It's okay, you got another one in the bank here as Min Min is on that Ana, but you just gotta compartmentalize your win conditions. Take care of one thing at a time. Eliminate Helpful Fox because man, they are playing Zenyatta really aggressively, or maybe find that final instance of damage onto Samo. Unfortunately, neither of those win conditions have been met quite yet here for St. Peter's, still struggling to get out of the doors.
Yeah, I think this is where you want to take a little bit more space, and Sellout's really struggled to do that right now. They've got the whole hook as well, so they could, I guess, use that to some pressure them away and keep their honor alive right now. Unfortunately, none of those things are going to happen, and yeah, Connecticut are going to continue to get away with this in the spawn doors of St. Peter's.
Yeah, and there's that enablement of each other that we briefly mentioned we'd like to see from St. Peter's, and that I've seen in spades from UCONN is, you see Samo go critically low, looking for that final blow onto Min Min, and then out of nowhere, Nels finds that critical hit finish. There's a rally in this hallway. It's also going to enable that really aggressive position and reward Connecticut with a team fight win. Gravitic Flux added on top of it. It doesn't connect to anything, but I don't think that's the point here.
Look at Helpful Fox right in the spawn. They're trying to go for the Yana. Has Trans to get out if necessary, but wants to take the Joe. Can't take the Joe after the biotic grenade. Can St. Peter's even touch here?
No, they can't, and that Transcendence looks a lot more like a Moira Fade to me. Get out of jail free card for Helpful Fox.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, who I don't think has actually died that round. A little insane to me. I'm a Zenyatta main, and I die off cooldown. I might need a clinic from a Helpful Fox. See if they can be helpful to me.
Yeah, I mean, why not just get a good main support like this guy is near you, right? He's going to protect you on the break. That's the idea. Get a good bridge here.
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
the plan.
I'll have to see St. Peter's, they're confronted with a challenging task now. You mentioned that, they have to perform a little bit better in these games leading up to the playoffs, and part of that performance is going to be, fixing this map differential, right? And so now they don't have the opportunity to do that, though, right? You play as you do your damnedest just to get that full hold. That's a net no value there on that map differential. But at least it might prolong the duration of the series.
Yeah, no, sometimes in more competitive series, remember St. Peter's are kind of fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive right now. if St. Peters lose this game, by the way, Quinnipiac will be cheering. Quinnipiac fans will be very happy because they will make playoffs. So I guess for Quinnipiac, this is a positive result for Connecticut as well. But just to note, St. Peters are fighting for their life. Sometimes you have to play for that draw. On assault maps, you will see teams at a high level have to play for a draw, and they will use that to get momentum back on their side. St. Peters' composition again. Oh, I'm not a big fan of this.
You know, there's some of it that makes sense, some of it that doesn't as much. At the very least, Sea Penguin will be an adept front line against the lethality that Hibachi represents, as well as that CC onto Kelp, who rolls through without proccing the adaptive shields, but also without getting any damage as well. They're gonna have to disengage here. Hibachi ends up going down as well. That's actually a really not a bad poke phase there for St. Peters.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You know they managed to get their tanks involved in the fight. That's something they've struggled to do so far. Usually teams will struggle to get their backline involved in a team fight, but St. Peters have struggled to get their tanks involved. Their tanks were involved there, and they managed to get a notable kill at the start of this. Interesting Hollywood attack in Connecticut. They're struggling to set up an engagement. They're trying to help come around the back and get a power drive, and then the rest of the team are going to try and walk in.
Hey, there's a lot to play around that St. Peters currently is running. There's Kelp under a little bit of duress. Tizguys ends up going down, but it's traded for Ratchet. Things could be stabilizable here on the defense. The Coalescence finds his commitment from Min Min, and there's a lot of shield break that has to happen on University of Connecticut, like you mentioned, struggling for an engagement, and that engagement is going to be delayed considering the freeze that was just dealt onto Kelp. No sleep dart, however, here remaining for Hunters. The Gravitic Flux comes out from Hibachi. There's not going to be enough follow-up. Samo ends up going down. I think University of Connecticut, they have to cut their losses, especially now that Sellout has employed the Bongo.
Yeah, I think I would like to see more of this double shield composition from St. Peters, and Ratchet's having a lot more fun here on the Soldier 76. Oh, what is it though? Nice shot from Dalsey.
Yeah, there's a good reason to push in the Coalescence to fortify that decision. It's a minefield on the objective, and the Gravitic Flux lifting Hibachi into the air, but there's also a Nano Visor on the point here for the defense. St. Peters holding strong amidst the deluge of ultimates that have swept in from University of Connecticut. It's Samo struggling for a dual win here in the backlines of St. Peters. Ultimately, he's going to have to disengage, but with Min Min going down, things are ever winnable here for UConn. They just have to play their cards right. Look for that engagement. Look at that devastating anti-nade onto St. Peters. It rewards Tizguys with a double skill orb kill.
I enjoyed that. May on the point. Did that the ice bolt still? Because if so, this is kind of winnable. It goes down at the Blizzard kill on the Samo, but it's not going to be enough. We're going to get more potential on the point. No, Connecticut will take Mountain.
Victory. A decisive start to the series here for UConn, pushing St. Peters into dangerous map point territory.
Yeah, and this is bad news for St. Peters. I think the important thing for us and what we're going to judge St. Peters on their season is, not this game. This game is a game where they're going to have to learn, and next week is the important factor, right? Next week they have a game to try and secure their playoff spot, and what they learn from this week is going to be so important next week and in the playoffs. So we're going to see St. Peters hopefully develop from this game. Even if they do lose, I do think that double shield composition suited them a lot more. They seemed a lot more stable, and of course then they can learn the basics of that double shield comp and expand on that. Who's to say they don't have a chance at still making playoffs?
Well, at the end of the day, everyone on both these teams, they're gamers. And what do gamers do best? Well, they rise above adversity. So, we'll see if that can happen sooner rather than later here for St. Peters rolling into map 3. Or maybe we just have to abide our time and be a little bit more patient for next week's match. Let's see where we're heading here for map 3. It's going to be our escort game mode, if I'm not wrong. And oh no, I'm sorry, it's the 2CP game mode. It's everyone's favorite map type, Volskaya.
It's my favorite map in the game, so I'm not having Volskaya slander right now. A little bit of Volskaya Industries. Now, I will say that for St. Peters, at least you can run some sort of double shield composition here, and I would like to see them give it a go. But also, dive compositions and Wrecking Ball compositions are pretty popular here. You're going to most likely see either Winston or Wrecking Ball come out of Connecticut, and usually double shield doesn't favor playing against those sort of compositions. So unfortunately, it might be a bit of a difficult map and a difficult matchup for St. Peters, but I don't want to see them get disheartened. I want to see them continue to play with these spam compositions, play around with what fits, I do want to see that erase the Sigma tank one.
I mean, isn't that the tragedy for us in the booth, Ocean, and as well for all of our viewers? I want to see all these players do really well. Nothing warms my heart like being able to say, man, all 12 of these guys popped off this series. And, well, we're still waiting on some of those moments of stardom here on the side of St. Peter's. We'll have to see how they ease into that. On the other side of a break, we will be right back with you guys. And we are back. Hopefully you had a moment to grab a snack or a drink or lean back in your chair a little bit. If you're a UConn fan, you're definitely feeling a little bit relaxed at the potential outcome of this match. And, well, I'm on the edge of my seat. I'll tell you why, Ocean, is your boy Wings is stepping into the lineup. It's going to be Kelp now on the DPS role, and that main tank responsibility, it's all on the shoulders now of your boy Wings. Cannot wait.
Your boy Wings is probably one of the top 5 main tanks in EGF. I think we're going to actually see Taze later on, who I think is also up there. Taze, of course, on Maris. They're going to play William Nye after this. That's going to be a really interesting game. So Peter's flipping things around in the main tank role as well, as we see Hunter move on to main tank and Satellite go over to Baptiste. I would have liked to see them keep selling on main tank. I think it's always better to try and keep the same main tank. Your main tank is deciding who you're engaging on when you're engaging, so it's always a little bit concerning to see that sort of change, and I'm not sure it's the best change right now. As I head over to Ryan Zari, I think your boy Wings is going to have a lot of fun here on the Winston.
Yes, as well as a helpful Fox already assuming an off angle and helping to find pretty good damage. Yeah, that's a Bionic connecting on the whole stand. Leads also to Hibachi Swat's ultimate charge and maybe padding their stats as well. A quick team fight resolution there.
Yeah, and Peter's making swap over to the Reaper. I'm not a big personal fan of that. I think the idea is probably to try and put pressure on the White Wings on the Winston, which isn't a bad idea, especially since you're also running with a Reinhardt. Reinhardt typically not the greatest. If this guy gets up here with the teleporter, I love this spot so much. This is kind of awesome.
This guy doesn't have to worry about movement. There isn't a lot of space to move around in. Just focus on aim there. Fall damage ends up coming into Overwatch too, then this guys might have been in a little bit of trouble, but we'll have to wait for that to actually release. It's still more DPS action here from a helpful Fox, as well as a nice connection on that Bionagency Penguin. Still gets the Mega. They're going to live for now. And, kind of like in the previous map, St. Peter's, they're just trying to find an answer for the aggression of UConn.
I would love to see Midman swap over to Alacio here. I would like to see how this Reaper and Reinhardt operate when they can actually engage and get up close to the rest of Connecticut, because realistically Hunter and Sea Penguin aren't able to get the value that the heroes are really there to do.
Yeah, there's a little bit of value there. Hunter's able to land the Shatter. Unfortunately, doesn't find that final blow onto your boy Wings. They're able to safely jump out of there. But hey, that's just another Shatter that you got to crew ult charge towards. Transcendence trying to save your boy Wings, but it's a timely one. Comes just in time for the Death Blossom. It means that Kelp is able to stay in this fight. Wrecks the Photon Barrier, but might not have needed it. Still good insurance to have.
Yeah, that's mighty unfortunate for St. Peters. At least they got into that team fight. They got the Reaper involved, they got the Minecraft involved, and they reaped the rewards. No pun intended. Look, this is gonna be a rough go at it for St. Peters, and you know what's really, really bad is as soon as they kind of get through this chokehold that Connecticut are possessing right now, Connecticut's competition is better in and around the point of St. Peters, so it's going to have to be a really convincing fight win at the choke for St. Peters if they're going to get through and capture this first objective.
It's going to be hard to get through, though. There's a Gravic Flux that they have to navigate first. Ratchet is not able to endure there, and it's, you know, in any other matchup, it'd be an all-out brawl, but for St. Peters, it's a total disengage here. They're trying to just live for now, while point progress is attempted on the, by Holstan, but not going to amount to anything.
Reaper down, and that's really going to be it. Just going to slow things down a touch here. We've seen a little bit of shenanigans this round from Connecticut playing a little bit more aggressive. What's kind of worrying is St. Peters haven't really been able to find a way to even like displace Connecticut's aggression, right? Not necessarily even burst through it and capture the objective, but actually stop the aggression of Connecticut, and that's something that we also have to think about, because UCONN, St. Peters spawns right there. That's free healing right there. This should not be so free for Connecticut as far up as this.
Quite the interesting Photon Barrier there as well. It definitely frees up Kelp to just maintain this position. Connecting the splash damage of these orbs, yeah, almost finds that elimination, but has to default over to the Mega. In the meantime, you have the duplicate committed by Holstan, but they're not able to stay in long enough to find that minefield kill. That's a massive flux there. Lifts 2 into the air. The rest of St. Peters is able to safely LOS it. Now they have to push to the objective, but Ratchet, under the duress of the Discord orb, might not be able to find that connection. The connections are all made by the hyperspheres, but the Shatter is going to land onto 2. Where's the follow-up? There's no one from St. Peters remaining here to find final blows off of that stun. It's going to be a full hold here by UCONN.
Yeah, and we've kind of feared the worst for St. Peters throughout this series, and I think that map was kind of done when they swapped their main tank and flex support around. I think that's always a bad sign for a team. Even if it's main tank and main support, right, I could get by that, because main tank and main support are kind of your more vocal members, at least in a traditional standpoint, because, of course, your main support dictates the pace, your main tank dictates who are we engaging on, when are we engaging on. That was a really worrying change to see, and St. Peters definitely hasn't benefited from that here on Volskaya. And also some of their hero picks, not great. I mean, I would love to see this get changed next week. This is what we're going to have to look at. It's impossible to judge St. Peters right now. They're playing against a team above their weight class. They're giving it a go, right? And I really like that. But unfortunately, they're unable to compete here. But next week when they're playing for that playoff spot, then we can maybe judge them a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what I do appreciate from St. Peters is just that, you know, it's a organized Overwatch competitive. It's a far throw from solo queue ranked, but you know, solo queue ranked, and you know, back before role queue, you wouldn't ever see any adjustments, any mid game adaptations. And St. Peters, well, they're not hesitant to make changes to try to shift the pace of this game, to make things more winnable, and that kind of initiative, you know, honestly, believe it or not, it is hard to find in some players.
And it feels impossible to find at some points as well, right?
Yeah.
It can be. It's a really difficult tool. There are teams that are tier 3, tier 2 plus, right, that don't really have that designated leader when the gun gets tough. And speaking of going gets tough, we've got a Bastion competition on the high ground.
Oh yeah, talk about tough here. Oh, a Helpful Fox finds the final blow with a boop, and then 2 environmental eliminations. That's a team fight win. That's a point capture. That is a map win, and also rewards UCONN with the series. A decisive 3-0 for them in this matchup against St. Peter's. Definitely on pen and paper, they were the favored matchup, but you know, words and actions, it's they're different things. Definitely UCONN putting everything into action.
That's some interesting positioning. I understand hugging the wall to avoid the bash it, but why that wall? Why the one close to the water? Why the one close to the drink? We'll never know, and unfortunately we'll never get those answers. So Peters, I'm looking forward to seeing them next week as they try to clinch a playoff spot. It's not quite done and dusted yet for them, especially with that loss against Connecticut. Connecticut reaffirming themselves as a top 5 team.
Yeah, absolutely. And as well, like we mentioned, you know, having an opportunity to really have fun in Overwatch. If you are having fun at the end of the day, what is it all about? And for St. Peter's as well, you know, maybe less about fun and more about those learning opportunities that we talked about heading into match. Next week we will see them put principles into action and see how they can again, overcome adversity. For now, it's a GG's to both teams. UCONN, take a load off. You guys have earned it, and we'll be right back with a post-game interview for you guys. Welcome back from the break, everyone. That game is over, but the show isn't done yet. Before the next matchup we have for you guys this afternoon, we're here bringing you your post-game interview. Representing the forces of University of Connecticut is your boy Wings. Your boy, good to have you back in the booth with us. And how are you feeling after that relatively straightforward game?
And it's just feeling good. It's a good way to close out the season. You know, we had a really tough game against Wichita last week, and we managed to pull that out. So and just to come out hot again is actually pretty good for us.
Cool to hear. Cool to hear. So this season again has been pretty good for you, apart from the little stumble after the start of the spring split. Obviously, when you lost RuPaul / Pascal. But talk to me about the recent weeks again. That win against Wichita. Good time to get some momentum going into playoffs, right?
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of the split was a lot of just figuring out like who we were as a team, just figuring out where everyone kind of fits in. But I think, especially in the recent weeks, the attitude around the team and just the mood, I think's changed a lot, and it's really helping us. You know, obviously we got Ez, he didn't play today, but you know he's helped us a lot. I think Tiz guys has really gotten comfortable on the flex support, and I think it's just clicking at the right time.
Yeah, that's definitely a luxury to incur here for UConn. And you know, how does in terms of that you know, that morale that you guys have been steadily uplifting, you know, who are some of the key members, or who plays an important role in helping to foster the culture that you guys have, you know, elevating your teammates so that they can play better?
You know, from ever since August when we all got together and we started playing together, I wanted this kind of image, but it's especially these guys, they're pushing it now. You know, these guys want it. It's not just like me telling them. Is like, honestly, I didn't play the first two maps, I didn't play the last scrim, but all I've heard is good things, and it's because these guys want to do it.
Healthy dose of competition in there to make things exciting. Absolutely.
All right, one last question for you, boy Wings. Playoffs is soon. You've already picked your ticket. You're already, I believe, locked on top 5 as well. So, you know, what are the goals? Can you go all the way?
I mean, I can't say anything really right now. You know, when we set off the season, I set a team goal of 12 or 13 wins. I think we ended 13-3. So, you know, that was the first goal. The second goal, I think we just need to we just need to play. Like, I'd love to set a goal, like, obviously, because you want to achieve somewhere. And, you know, I want to say we go all the way, but it's the beauty of like any game is you got to play no matter what. So
yeah,
we're gonna take it game by game.
Yeah, compartmentalize those goals and just take it one step at a time. Eventually, that will lead you to the end of the road, wherever that destination ends up being. At least for now, the destination is hopefully a little bit of relaxing from you guys, or maybe more of that game time that you place so much importance on, and rightfully so. Before you depart from us this afternoon, your boy Wings, do you want to make any shout-outs? Anyone on your team that you want to elevate, or maybe there's a Twitter or Twitch we need to follow?
I'd just like to shout out, you know, my team and everyone who's been here. You know, we lost a couple guys after the fall, you know, who were important. You know, RuPaul really got us going. Evan really got us organized, especially once we figured out what we wanted to do this spring. Nels just cracked. You know, Fox, he's come in and he's basically embraced that role. He's fit perfectly. Sam, you know, I make fun of him a lot, but he's the hardest grinder on our team. Kelp's come in, done really well. Just, I throw him on anything, and he takes it and he runs. And then I'm hoping I'm not missing anyone. Hibachi, you know, I told him, and this is why I like him a lot now, is I told him, come to the scrim, you're starting, and he said, understood, sir. But like these group of guys, you know, they've made, you know, school and all this stuff a lot of fun, especially it's been probably like 20 weeks because of the break and stuff. You know, they've made this year pretty special for me, at least, and have really helped advance, you know, Overwatch at UConn. We weren't a team before this. So it's just been really great. It's just a shout out to all those guys. I love them.
Yeah, that is a heartwarming sentiment, and also a really good glimpse into that culture where we just enable and support each other. Thank you so much for those sentiments, and as well, good luck, your boy Wings, both on the grind and in future matches. We'll see you again soon.
All right, yep, see you.
that was your boy Wings of University of Connecticut, and as well, Ocean, that wraps up this first series of the day.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. Connecticut, congrats on at least sealing top 5, but the next game is going to be super exciting. We see Marist College, who are currently in second place, take on a good team with great identity in William and Mary, who's sitting third.
Yeah, that'll be an exciting